Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages podcast. I am your host, Kim Wannop, and I have a special episode here for you today, presented by Disney Marvel for your Emmy consideration of Wonder Man, for outstanding production design for a narrative program half hour. I'm talking with production designers Chao and Michele Yu, and set decorator Lizzie Boyle, about their magnificent series, Wonder Man. And I will say it, in the beginning of this episode, I told everybody to watch it when I saw it because I just really loved all the Hollywood behind the scenes with just that touch of Marvel in there. And just really great performances of what it's like to start out in Hollywood, I thought. It really gives us a Marvel story through the lens of Hollywood. And if you're listening to this as an Emmy voter, this is exactly the kind of work I hope you'll take a closer look at. Wonder Man isn't just a Marvel series with superhero moments. It's a show built around characters, around Hollywood and Los Angeles, and those strange little details of trying to make it in this business without completely losing your mind sometimes. They captured some really great details of the process of being an actor trying out for things and some grittiness in Hollywood. So Wonder Man is also, of course, shot in Los Angeles, and that matters. It is great to see LA being played in LA. LA for LA, isn't that something? From Hollywood apartments and historic buildings and theaters, bars, the streets of LA, it really has a lot of corners of the city that hold so much entertainment history, and it becomes part of the story. Cindy, Michele, and Lizzie walk me through Simon's apartment, Trevor's faded glory world, the behind-the-scenes sets of the shows, Marvel's DODC prison, and practical explosions, talking about VFX. We just really work through the whole show, and they had some really great sets for this series. And yes, we talk about that episode that went black and white in post, and they didn't know. And as a decorator, that definitely gave me a little bit of a heart attack. So please take a look at this episode on YouTube to see the sets that we are speaking about. So for your consideration, Wonder Man, for outstanding production design for a narrative program half hour. I hope you enjoy. So I contacted you because I whipped through this series. I couldn't stop watching it. I loved it. I think I loved it because it wasn't like so superhero-y. Like there's a real story here. And I love anything behind the scenes of Hollywood. I just love that we can capture that and give people a peek into our world and be able to share the craziness and how non-glamorous it is. And I think you guys, dressing and design-wise, just did a fantastic job of really capturing the reality, especially in like not dingy Hollywood, but like realistic Hollywood. It's not all glamour and everything, and these poor actors have to go through so much sometimes. It's a sin. How did Cindy and Michele, how did you two come into this?
Well, we had previously worked with Destin Cretton on American Born Chinese.
Mm.
And I feel like we had just, not too long ago, had just finished that project. And he reached out to us and was like, hey, I'm putting you up for a Marvel series. It's not your typical Marvel series. It's going to be something that's more grounded. And he, described the show as, you had just lovely described it. And we were like very excited. And he was like, we want to show the grind of the behind the scenes of Hollywood and showcase LA. And, both Michele and I and Lizzie. I mean, I think everyone has had that story
yeah.
of like trying to make it in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So we were super, super excited and obviously also very nervous about interviewing with Marvel. But when we interviewed with them, we put together a deck of images and basically pitched them the look of a show that we are familiar with, and pitch them, you know, locations that we used to hang out, like, while we were trying to make it in Hollywood. And it was fun. It was fun to be able to pitch that to Marvel, and they loved it. And, he reached out to us again a few days later, or maybe a couple weeks later, and both Michelle and I were like, "Oh, he's probably telling us that, they went with another designer." But we got it. And we were not expecting that, and we were just so thrilled. We were so thrilled that they went and, went with our story and went with our look that we pitched.
I do want to say that you are two designers who work together. Now, which I think is fantastic. I don't know, Lizzie, like as a decorator, I mean, is it great or not? Like, do you know what I mean? Am I playing mom off of dad? Like, what am I doing here? I don't.
It's so funny because like every job interview I've been in the last like 7 years, the designer is always like, what's it like with two designers? Like people always ask me about it. And it's so funny because we've worked together for a long time. And so like our dynamic just feels so familiar to
Yeah,
me. And like the two of you guys are always so on the same page. And um like it just feels like, we're all kind of inside each other's brains.
that's great.
And on this one, it was great because there were so many locations, so many sets, so much going on that there was a little bit more of the like Cindy's like I can't remember. It was like the spaceship in the prison, but it was like one of you had one and one of you had the other one. And it was like, I don't know how else we would have done it.
Well,
Like,
yeah, because I think shows have gotten so big, and I've been on a big show where we need a second decorator,
mhm,
and it was very hard, like logistically, um, and just financially for them to approve that.
yeah.
So I always think like, damn, if they get to hire two designers, can they hire two decorators? Because there's probably five art directors then. But it's great. I think shows have gotten way too big, especially in television and turnaround and everything. I really applaud them for having the sense to have two people for something as big as this.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, this show actually was pitched to us as one of Marvel's smaller shows, and we still needed that many people
Yeah.
because we were literally like so many locations, and towards the end, we had so many double up days
Ugh,
on
space.
top of like builds and everything. It was such an ambitious schedule, like from beginning to end. And it was great to have like the double team.
So you said you did this before and after the strike, so 2013. And
Mhm.
how much prep did you have? Can you remember that?
So I remember that Cindy and I were hired, I think, on the tail end of November 2022.
Yes.
It was the same year that we finished American Born Chinese, and that was all 2022. Went through the holidays. We were hired like right around the holidays. Lizzie would have started not too long after that. And then we were up and shooting by March.
So
Mhm.
like 4 or 5 months prep. But
I
look, well,
think,
you had holidays in
yeah.
there and everything, so.
Yeah, I feel like proper prep was really just January and February and part of
Mm.
March.
And and then so you had 8 episodes. Did you do 10 shooting days per episode?
Oh gosh,
I
that
feel
I
like we
remember. It
were,
must have been,
I
I think it
think
was 8.
it was 8, I think.
8.
Yeah,
Well, I say 10 because it was so many location, like so
I
much.
know. Well,
Yeah.
But
that was
yeah,
honestly,
8. I mean,
yeah.
eight's pretty is normal, but I thought you'd have more. I
No.
mean, it's
Did we
not.
have more
Still
for
been
the
more for you.
first two episodes? Maybe we had more.
We probably had more for the first two,
Did you
maybe.
cross?
I don't know. I feel like despite the ambition of the show, any time that we maybe should have had more, we didn't. But I think that's true of every show these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you cross board like every like 2 episodes, or was it singles?
No,
Um,
we crossed board.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we had 4 directors in blocks of 2 episodes each.
Yeah,
Um,
it was nice though, cause like, once the strike was over, we did have, I think, at least 4 or 5 weeks more prep
Right.
to do
Nice.
to do
Get you
the
back into it.
next, to finish it off, because like some of it changed, some of the sets changed, and they were giving us like that grace period to re-prep some of the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was nice.
There were some episodes too that had, we had very early scenes shot at the Vidiots Theater that needed to be in multiple episodes. So we had some director crossover on.
Oh, that's nice.
Way early. Yeah.
I like when we did that. I forget what we did that on, but I was like, ooh, it's like Game of Thrones style. It's like the sets dominate. Like, shoot out this whole location for the whole series. Done.
Mhm.
Shoot this all out. Done. We're not going back there. I don't have to redress it. I don't have to go back to these people's houses and take all their stuff out again.
Yeah.
Um,
For some actor availability, I think we had to go back to some of the sets, like
oh,
our DODC offices. How many
Yeah.
times did we go back there? I feel like that was one of the sets we kept on returning.
Yeah, well, that was
Right?
trickier. That was trickier too, though, because that was in so many episodes that it didn't really make sense to shoot it all out because
Mm.
and you sure there's some DGA stuff in there of like that's a little bit too much crossing. But yeah, there were some actor available. We did kind of both. We did both. We tried to shoot out locations as much as we could, and then some locations we thought we would go back to and then weren't able to. I'm thinking of Trevor's apartment, and then we had to.
Oh, that's a bummer. You had to go back there? You had to redress that?
We would have had to.
Oh, you had to. Oh.
But they found a way to avoid it, but we ended up having to build part of it on stage
Oh.
instead. Yeah.
The first episode to me is so painful to watch him as this one line guy try to develop a backstory and like ask for a prop and like total fucking nightmare. He's going on set for an AD, for props, for so he wants a set. I mean, it just killed me and cringed me so much that I was like, oh, I'm in. Whatever this show is, I'm in. And the actor I thought did so well in it. But for you guys, you're building like stories within the story, which is exciting because you get to go beyond your genre, which is nice. So here we're looking at the first scene where it's like a college lecture hall kind of, and then you also show some behind the scenes. How was this like just built your, was this another set that you had to turn into this so that you could like
This was a bit of a Frankenstein. We salvaged a lot of set walls here and a lot of pieces, the windows and things we salvaged from another show. And Lizzie can speak to like the sourcing of all the matching desks and the lights and everything. But we had a pretty slim description on this. I think it was, an African history, mythology lecture series, which is what the set is here at the university level, and also for an American Horror Story series. So
Right.
funny enough, we had a couple of crew members who were American Horror Story alumni. So we were constantly going back and like our assistant art director, and I think our set deck coordinator, we were constantly going back to Van and Megan being like, does this feel right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it up to Ryan's standards? Like
yeah, but this was a really fun one because we got to play around with this was also chronologically one of our first builds. So I remember having the luxury, because it was in the first episode, of time to really go over the construction, these like details of the paneling on the walls, which you barely see really in the episode, but you sort of feel in the background. Like we had a whole concept for. So right behind this line of hanging lights, you can see some wooden paneling in the background that has a specific carving in it.
oh yeah.
Had a whole we had a whole thing theming this out for sort of like occult extraterrestrial imagery found in like carvings and cave art and things like that. So we
That's fun.
put that all in there. Yeah, that was the basis for it. And then obviously it's a big set. It's like a big footprint because we wanted that moment of him walking in and feeling like he was on a big show, and all this action in the background. We had even more planned for the set actually of like of smaller sets in the background that you see people working on or that they've maybe just shot out. And we had some really wild ideas for them. But Pretty soon, I think budget and time constraints started hitting reality. So some of the crazier stuff in the background got nixed, but but this I love.
Yeah, the lead up though, of Simon walking to this set, it was like a whole other orchestrated production as well.
I mean, I was gonna ask Lizzie, like,
because
you need to ask wardrobe, can I borrow that rack? Grips, can you leave your shit out for once? Oh no, I can't hear you.
Like
Oh, there you go.
some of it was us borrowing stuff, but a lot of it was us just like getting our own matches because otherwise you don't have control over it. So it was like, I think we borrowed a wardrobe rack once and then it was like, okay, we're not doing that. We'll just get our own. Like they need this stuff. And like I remember going through like our best boy grip, Chewy, he like took me on a golf cart and he's like showing me like, okay, this is what this is what that is, so that I could put in my own grip order that was like the set dressing grip stuff. And like it was a lot of coordinating, figuring out what are we sharing, what are we getting, how do we make sure that everything looks right. You're also like you're creating something in front of the professionals that do it every day. So you're like, I really don't want to mess this up. Like if it looks stupid, the people who think it looks stupid are going to be right there, know?
I mean, I've found like carts, like people's like their flag carts and stuff like that. Like that's good production value. Or like
Totally.
on set guy, leave your cart here. Like like that.
Yeah.
Recreating crafty is always very sensitive because you don't want to be nicer than your own crafty.
Right.
You don't want to look dinky unless it's sort of scripted like that. So I have found doing crafty is actually kind of like, I don't want to show the guy up, but you could spruce it up a little, man. Like you could get some levels in here and stuff. But yeah, no, you guys did a great job showing the behind the scenes.
And it's always funny with crafty because then it's like, oh, is this the real one?
Yeah,
Just
then
have to
everybody
dodge everyone.
You know what? A prop guy a long time ago, on a kids show, he told me, you know what I do? He had like hot, like pepper salt or something, and he would shake it. He would shake it on all the food, and he'd be like, "That'll teach him never to eat my food again." That's what he used to do.
That's what That's funny. It's like training puppies.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they were kids. It was like a teenage kid show. Nice guy. You were nice enough to show some of your working drawings and renderings. So, we are looking at your rendering. What program are you using for this? SketchUp? Is this SketchUp? I don't know.
I think this was our doing some of the rendering for us here, or all of the rendering for us here.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't SketchUp, but shoot, now I don't remember what program she was using.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice and spatial and everything.
Yeah, she was incredible. I mean, we had such a tight and effective crew on this.
Who was that?
Would have been Catherine Sharpless,
Nice.
that designer. But we had on the art department side, we had me and Cindy, and then we had our supervising art director Jackie Kay, and we had an art director, and we were able to swing two assistant art directors. So at the first half of the show, the first 4 episodes, Scott Engie was our art director. The second half of the show was Ryan Brett Puckett. And it was first and second half because of the writer's strike that came in between. But that was our kind of like, hit and run, super effective team on this, and 2 set designers that we were able to carry pretty much the whole show.
Oh, that's good.
And one graphic designer, and then we would bring in day players for like a week or 2 at a time.
Lindsay, did you have your own graphics person sometimes, or?
Maybe for like a couple days here and there, but mostly not.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when there's a lot of graphics in the show. I was going to ask later about that. Simon's apartment is a build, and it is so typical Hollywood, like first apartment. It's great. It's great. So you built this you guys were at Radford. Tell me a bit about your color choices for him and research. Were you researching any empty apartment?
Yeah, I mean, this was like the very first set that when we came on, we were designing, and I mean, we were just like going back to all our, our friends living in Hollywood. We would figure out where Simon's apartment would logistically really be in
Yeah.
Hollywood. And we decided it would be in East Hollywood because it's, close to areas that he would walk to late at night. He could hop on the metro if he wanted to. Like it just seems like the best part of Hollywood that steps away, but still realistic of where people would live when they just are starting out.
But we had a funny
Yes.
we had a funny triangulation that we
Yeah.
locations people, and it's incredible because they actually found because this is the set build is a match to an exterior that's in Hollywood actually that the locations team found for us, and we were telling them our ideal in story geographical placement for his apartment is a triangle between the Walk of Fame, Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and Jumbo's Clown Room,
Yeah.
just like that.
Yep.
So, yeah, and that's exactly where they found it. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I don't know how much more iconic Hollywood apartment you can get than that area.
The one thing though, because I feel like, did all of you live in Hollywood when you first got here? Did you guys know? No?
Mm-mm.
No one?
Koreatown. So like
Koreatown. Yeah, that's
clo-
adjacent. I lived Selma and Schrader, which is basically Wilcox and Selma. So which was just a cement box. It was a studio, and it was, and then you start to like go to friends' houses, and you're like, oh my god, there's like Spanish design, and it's cheap. Like, and then you have all these great details in these really old apartments, like the arches and the
Yes.
crown moldings and everything. So it's an opportunity to really throw those in there and then kind of like cheapen it up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys did a great mix of that. It's great.
Yeah.
Really,
Oh,
I was going to say one of the really fortuitous things about the process of prep in this particular part of the show is that we were at the same time as we were designing Simon's apartment and starting to decorate it, we had also already scouted for Trevor's apartment in a lot of areas, including in Hollywood. And, for many reasons, we ended up putting him in Koreatown. But we got this crash course with our locations team as we were designing this apartment of so many, like I feel like dozens of uh, LA apartments. We got a refresher course on the interiors. And this apartment uh, there was a lot of inspiration we pulled from one particular apartment building that was a historic apartment in Hollywood. And I can't remember the name of it now, but it had a lot of these sort of cove features and rounded corners and things like that. And we were like, this is the right feel. We really want to bring this in. And we also wanted to have the feel of an older building with the plaster walls and knowing that Simon was going to be a character who wasn't really into decor,
Yeah.
like the palette of this, like from the very first pitch deck, uh, we kind of coded Simon to these darker, steely blues and grays. And we gave Trevor all the warm colors and all the oranges and sort of terracottas and things like that, and really rich jewel tones. And for Simon's, because he's just a guy who is not paying attention to making the space feel nice and lived in, and he has key pieces of art on the wall that are important to him, but as a whole he's not interior decorating here. We wanted to make sure that the walls were interesting even without decor, and that once the decor was in there you understood that it was intentional for him.
Lizzie, where were you shopping for him? Target?
it was a lot of thrifting.
Yeah.
It was so much thrifting because it was like we're kind of imagining that he's just like inherited this stuff from like random roommates who moved
Yeah.
away and like left a table or like found a couch on the side of the street and like that just that mishmash of stuff that you accumulate and then you're like, why do I have it?
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like looks so empty, but it takes a lot when you only have a few things in
No.
there. You're like,
Yeah.
you got to make sure you really like
It's
that.
much harder to choose one vase on a shelf
Mhm.
than it is to fill the room. It's much the pressure of that one vase is like
Yeah,
incredible, for at least for me.
totally.
I also feel like I have to applaud that you didn't have rugs because
Mhm.
always everybody wants a rug and sound and whatever, but mostly you take them up and then they just become a pain in the ass. But I like that you guys showed the floor. I like that you didn't have to like, you know, see a rug and what is it more decorated than just, you know, a dude sitting there on his
Yeah.
sofa or on at his table or, you know, doing his setup and have an oriental there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Wait.
sorry, the first scene in the apartment, he's like going through a breakup and his girlfriend is taking her stuff away. So we really wanted it to feel like, you know, any like warmth or decoration or anything nice about this apartment is like leaving with her.
Yeah.
And then it's just he's at this low point. It's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's alone. But yeah, but there's, you know, there's evidence of like his character still there, which is nice. It's like completely ripped of or void of, you know, character. You still have like some pattern, a little pattern sofa in there and everything, which is nice.
I love that couch. I
Yeah.
have like a special place in my heart for that couch. I thought it was so pretty.
Yes.
It's a nice
Yeah.
pattern.
Story wise, we were like, he got that from his mom. That's his mom's couch.
Yeah. 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 And the patterns and everything. It just added a little bit of like charm, you know?
Yeah.
A little bit of a character. Like Simon's a no frill person at all. Like,
Yeah. That was a really great find.
Well,
yeah.
I'm sure, Lizzie, you had this really nice blue behind there. It plays off of it really nicely too. You got a little bit of subtle pattern in there, which is really nice. Speaking of his mom's, now I'm assuming that was a complete set because he had to destroy that whole table.
Yeah, that was a build. The rest of our house was a location that we did a lot of work on. But just in terms of the layout, we needed a kitchen where there wasn't a kitchen. And also, of course, we were going to do this stunt. So we built her new kitchen. Hmm.
And you have quite a bit of overlay with like special effects and you know, the visuals and everything. Can you talk about like working with them and like parameters? Like that island to me was like, oh, it might be a little bit, is there something going on with that island? Like I kind of spotted it in the beginning. I'm like, there's nothing on, is there anything on it? Like I was like, oh, what's happening? This is crazy.
Just a lot of
It's
explosives.
a good scene though. It's like
He sniffed it out.
scary. It's a scary.
Yeah. It was actually tricky because we knew we wanted items on the island. But, you know, because like before, you know, shaping Simon's powers, you see that he can like things are trembling.
Yeah, the ripple.
Subtle, the ripple effect, yeah. But we also like didn't want to overload the island with so much stuff
Yeah.
because, you know, you got to think about like when this stuff explodes, it's going to go everywhere. And
Well,
the amount of things we would have to like reset, you know, didn't really, you know, fit the budget as
how
well.
many builds, how many did you have to practically blow that up? I thought it was all visual.
No,
You
no, this
did?
was practical.
Oh my
Practical
God.
augmented by VFX and
How
the
many times did you do that?
I feel like we had 3 takes, didn't we?
I
Oh,
think we only had three counters built.
I I was kind of like, well, did he just leave? Did he clean up? Like, did he clean up his mess?
He left.
I know. It hurt me that
It
he
did.
left, but I was like, you know what? He's the bratty younger brother, and he's like used to this being the dynamic.
Well,
That's the explanation.
I mean, as an older brother, I'd be pissed. I gotta
Yeah.
clean this up for mom, and it's heavy. That looked like that's a marble. That's like that's a lot to clean up, man.
You know, I
I
mean,
I imagine there's a deleted scene somewhere that he called his mom after and apologized.
Yeah, I probably to the mom, but not to the brother who had to call.
no.
Um,
But you understand why the older brother, why Eric is pissed at
oh
him.
yeah, I get it. I'm an older sister. I totally get it. Totally there. Um, so tons and tons of location work on this show. I mean, I, I didn't seem like location fees were a factor for this budget. You guys had so
No.
many great, like even just walking down Hollywood Boulevard or being in the bars or like anything like that. You guys just showcased so much of LA. Were there certain things that you guys brought to the table, like we really should hit this corner, or we really should have this, you know, the mural over here or something like that to showcase LA? Were there?
Yeah. Constantly. I mean, we for you know, for Cindy and I, when we first hopped on, part of our pitch was we need to show parts of LA that don't usually get seen. We need to make sure that you show LA as it is, which is a multicultural city with a lot of different textures and a lot of different income levels and a lot of different neighborhoods, which is why we wanted to spread it out and not have it just be a Hollywood show, because none of us who live in LA really live our lives in Hollywood, you know, it's everywhere else. But as far as these locations, like that was absolutely the mission from the get-go, with us and with the showrunners and directors, was pick a lot of really interesting locations, places that people haven't necessarily seen, or places that, you know, in LA, there's this constant sort of threat of redevelopment, right? Of these the things that we have that are historic are constantly about to be bulldozed and turned into something else. In episode 1, we shot at Tex in Echo Park, you know, the oldest French French restaurant in Los Angeles. And of course, that famously now, in the last month, it's been announced they're about to bulldoze that and turn it into condominiums. So but we knew that at the time when we pushed for Tex to be the spot, because we talked about Smokehouse, we talked about, you know, all these other places it could be that fit that bill of something that felt a little intimate and old and interesting. And we're like, it has to be Tex. It makes sense for the neighborhood that Trevor lives in Koreatown. He would know about that neighborhood, and also just to pay homage to these places in LA that we love. And you know, we would go. Uh, Before the show even began, Cindy and I kind of came up with a hit list of field trips because we like to be a little fun about things, and invited anyone who we already knew were going to be with us on art department, set deck, and props to join us on these field trips around Los Angeles. Um, and that's like a little bit of pre-scouting on our end, but it's also just getting the vibe going of we're celebrating LA.
Yeah.
So.
Lizzie, did you have like 3 or 4 locations a day to dress?
Sometimes more than that. I that was something that early on I was like, I need an assistant set decorator because we're gonna be in a million places at once. And it was so necessary because there were absolutely days where it was like, you're on the other side of town and I'm here opening 2 units that are both on stage, and like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
As
for
much
sure.
as we can try to clone ourselves,
Yeah.
it's possible. And I don't like to admit how many sets I've dressed on FaceTime. So, yes.
Absolutely, like the photo, and then you're circling and
Yeah.
drawing little arrows and sending it back, and yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And it's you know, you want to shoot in San Pedro and then Santa Clarita the next day. You want to do those things. So, it's just physically impossible for us to do them sometimes. But
Yeah.
yeah, in watching it, I was like, oh, if they're on that street and then they went inside and then they did that, that's like she had at least 3 sets that day. Like, when you say like sidewalks and everything, you're still out there dressing things or they're changing signage or, anything and posters. And you guys had, tons of flyers and everything. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, no, streets are still a lot of work,
Yeah.
storefronts, all that jazz.
Yeah.
I think that also was part of the tricky part of it because we wanted to showcase a part of LA that, a lot of people haven't seen on screen. But then we also wanted it to be authentic enough where if you watched it, you would recognize the
Yeah.
location.
Yeah.
Like that's, it was like very tricky to nail down which locations we really, really wanted. Because some of them, I think there are some locations that we scouted that were like, oh my God, yes, and somehow it didn't work out. And like finding like like a backup for it, was tricky too.
I actually don't know what theater. Is this the Fox Theater in Westwood? Where is this? Where's the theater that he has the premiere?
Is this the Fox, the Westwood Village? Is
With
that the?
or is
Is
it
it
the
called?
one across the street?
I always it's the one it's the one
the one
across the
across the street.
street. It's not the Fox one.
Yeah,
It's the other
Westwood Village Theater. Is that what it was most recently called?
I
I
think
don't
so,
know.
yeah.
One right next to the Starbucks.
Right,
Is the
right.
between
I
the
don't know.
Starbucks?
I always call it Fox Theater. I still call it Man's Chinese. I'm not changing.
No, me too.
That's it.
Yeah,
I don't know what it. I actually don't know what it's called. It's
yeah.
The Chinese ramen. Is it called
Grauman's.
Chinese ramen? Yeah.
Grauman's Chinese, Man's Chinese, and that's it. I got 2 versions. I'm not spitting shit. I'm good. Going back a little bit, I do like that you shot in the wardrobe trailer, or did you make this?
This was in the
Joel.
costume like room.
Oh.
They had like a big room of racks.
Oh, nice.
And so it was funny coordinating with them of like, okay, so we're gonna come in and prep and we have to like move some stuff around, like,
No
talk
thanks.
to them, and they're lovely. And so it was great. But it's always funny like moving into another department space because you're like, this isn't like a normal location,
Yeah.
like they still need it to function. So
Well,
But also, you guys had to, sorry, you guys also had to make sure that there weren't any spoilers in the space because there are
Yes.
oh, right.
totally.
with the episode's costumes in it.
So we're like, okay, we have to make sure it's like the background clothing. We like brought in like fabrics for like the Wonder Man suit and like inspiration for that,
Right.
but then it's not like the real inspiration. Yeah.
Because to me, this is a very expensive set. Or renting wardrobe and filling closets. That's a very expensive set. So I was like, oh, I have to ask if that was a set or if they got lucky. Well, that's
Even
good.
just we brought in a couple racks of stuff of like, because it's supposed to be a superhero movie within the show,
Right.
so even just renting a few racks of like hero, superhero, like alien, whatever stuff, even that was like expensive, and that wasn't filling this whole room.
No, it's tons. It's so much money. I'm gonna roll it.
Mhm.
I forget the agent's name, but her office is such a difference in appearance to everything else. It's modern, it's light, it's glass, and it's everything. So how about this opportunity? And she's got some fun artwork, Lizzie. I really like her artwork. And I mean, she's a colorful character. Where is this at, or did you build?
This was at the US Bank Tower in
Oh,
downtown.
oh, nice.
Mhm.
Way up.
Yeah, way up. And we had scouted a bunch of offices in downtown. And, we scouted different styles as well, but we landed on something more modern, something that physically you would be able to see a view of downtown, just like another part of LA.
Yeah.
And something very like stark white. So Janelle, when you're in her office, her artwork does pop out because she is
Yeah.
a very colorful like personality.
Yeah.
But
Great.
even this location, like Kim, you've been in these spaces that are just like rundown offices that are so drab and depressing, and there's weird paneling on the walls, and like everything's a little messed up. And so we had to come in here and do a whole sweep, and we actually did a lot of construction work in this location just to cover up all the bits that were drab in a way that wasn't helping the story or helping this character or helping the scene at all. So we put in all these like sort of like modern panels and custom artwork and all of these things in the sort of bullpen space.
Yeah.
That
There's a walkthrough. You follow him through the space into the conference room and then into her office. So there's a big walkthrough. It's a big dress.
Yeah, and like all the walls were white. So we wanted to embrace that. So the panels that we made had texture on them to, like give it a little bit of breath on screen.
Did you have one DP or two?
Two.
Two. See this, Lizzie? There's two decorators. I got two everybody on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a little break here. This episode of Decorating Pages is presented by Disney Marvel for your consideration for Wonder Man for Outstanding Production Design for a Narrative Program Half Hour for the Emmys. This Marvel story through the lens of Hollywood is not glamorous fake Hollywood, but real Hollywood. The apartments, the auditions that he goes on, the offices, the weird spaces that somehow we recognize living here, and you're like, I was there once. That's crazy. I kudos to their location manager also, and for them picking these locations with him. Coming up in the rest of the interview, Cindy, Michele, and Lizzie walk us through how that black and white episode, I can't get over it. Wait, we're gonna get into it. You're gonna see. But Trevor's apartment is such a special set. And there's an eccentric director's mansion we talk about. And it's very interesting of how all of these weirdo characters come together in the show. So I hope you've seen it. I hope you've watched it. So again, for your consideration, Wonder Man for Outstanding Production Design for a Narrative Program Half Hour. You can find the official FYC page through Disney's FYC site, and you can watch Wonder Man on Disney Plus or through your Emmy platform. So now back to the interview. I don't have photos of Trevor's apartment, but I wanted to say how wonderful it was and how layered and like just pausing it to look of like film history and all of his props and everything. So how much fun was that to do for both of you, for all of you guys?
And it was just like, there's so much, I don't know, you're like trying to think of the history, and we're like looking up like, you know, Sir Ben's real movie past and being like,
Oh
how
my
do
God.
we incorporate some of that? How do we, he probably had run on Broadway. We're getting playbills, like old scripts. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It's a lot of character work in there. It's really fun. And a
Yeah, I
lot of
wish
little niches you had to do. Like the furniture in there is fantastic. I mean, it is that thing of, oh, you get your, I mean, at least I'm thinking of it like, because I've shot in that building too, and they have great apartments in there and great. Did you shoot that in that apartment building?
Mhm.
Yeah. They have fantastic, and you could see the moldings and all of the detail in that, but it's to me it read like, oh, this is kind of sad because it's like, oh, this might have been his first apartment and he thought he'd make it and then he's just lived here the whole time, so it's just stacked full of his history.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like historically, the whole building of the
Yeah.
college apartments has that like faded glory feel. Like
Yeah.
that was our whole thing about Trevor was like his whole faded glory, like all the things that he had amassed in his heyday was super glamorous back then. And you've seen the glamour of Hollywood, but have you seen the faded,
Yeah.
once they're gone? And we really wanted to capture that architecturally because what the Talmadge has is like that beautiful, like entrance,
Yeah.
that roundabout drop off, and it's just very epic. And you walk in there, and you just know that like this lobby had its heyday with security and probably someone greeting you, and I believe they still do have that. But
Yeah.
it's just
That little guard office there.
yeah, but it's just not updated. It's, like they don't use real flowers. It's like fake flowers that have probably been faded over the years and it's
I
still
mean,
the same.
I've shot there at least 3 times, and that swarm of flies in the in the lobby is always there. I
Yeah.
don't it's a weird thing, it's always, like, in
Yeah.
one spot, and it's like, what are they swarming for? Like, what's going
Yeah.
on? As you said, like, the flowers aren't real, what's going on? But it is
It's crazy.
gorgeous.
It's crazy because that building was like the most beautiful, expensive thing on the block when it
I
was
bet.
Yes.
I bet.
producer built it for his actress wife. Like
Oh,
it's like a pet project that he built for her and all of their socialite friends to live in back in the day. And it's one of the reasons the Miracle Mile area is called the Miracle Mile, is that building was like a keystone of it. It's kind of crazy.
it's great
And
history.
yeah, I wish that I wish you could have seen the rest of that apartment because the amount of set dressing that went into that apartment, Lizzie and her team did such an incredible job. And on screen, what made it into the show was really only like 10% of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, and that elevator's not great. It's not a great elevator to get all your shit in, and they only give you one. So, so it's a it's a wonderful location and it's great character, but it's a lot of work to get stuff
Yeah.
in there. I feel for you, Lizzie. I know that one.
I mean, I feel for my team,
Yeah.
I'm sure there was stuff they carried up those stairs.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's not fun either. At least the stairways are wide.
Yes.
And then we come to this eccentric director's house, which I was like, I have shot in many mansions like that one. I don't think I've shot in this one, but going into these huge, is this in Beverly Hills and Brentwood? Where was it?
In the Hollywood
In the
Hills.
hill, oh, in the Hollywood Hills.
It was
Nice.
actually.
Oh, Beverly Hills.
You like had to go through Hollywood Hills, and then you would go up this like secret
Oh.
road, but it was in Beverly Hills.
Oh, it's a wonderful exterior and so grand when they both arrive at the door, and opening that door scene is great. Lizzie, what did you bring here to make it more eccentric? More.
We did. I mean, we brought in the drapery and we brought in some of the furniture, and then like the biggest dresses were probably the study, and like getting the mood boards and figuring that out, and then the blue room with the chairs.
I don't have that.
I don't know if you're like see. It's like you can kind of just see into it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was, we had this idea of, because that blue room is so antiquated. Like, it was just like very, I don't know how to describe it, but very like old and beautiful. And I believe some of the walls were from possibly the Getty. I don't know. It was like from some museum. Yeah. And I mean, it was just your very standard like antique furniture in there. And we had this idea because it's such an absurd mansion. We had this idea of why don't we replace the seating area with chairs, but they're chairs as if they were chess pieces. So we had our construction team recreate a, life-size chess flooring. And then Lizzie did an awesome job curating the different black and white chairs that would serve as the director's chess pieces for the actors who were gonna, audition.
Oh my God, that's great. That's great visual.
Assistant decorator in the first half of the show, Devin Lochner, she spent a ton of time like going through chair and like measure like with the heights of the chairs and like placing them all out so we could see like, okay, what's gonna make sense visually and make it look like chess pieces.
And it's so, I mean, the house is so over the top. Like you expanded on this gaudiness or like this just craziness of his house. It's really great. It just becomes such another character in this story. You had a whole episode, I think episode 6 or 7, that was completely black and white. Did you know this was coming? Anyone?
No, we didn't.
No.
We did not.
But you knew when you were shooting it was going to be black and white.
No.
No? That's not fair. That's not nice.
No, but I will say, despite all that, I think it turned out pretty great.
It does. But there goes like 5 of my questions. So
Yeah, no, we didn't plan. No, it was. We had actually planned for it. It was always going to be a heightened episode to some degree, like heightened contrast, heightened saturation. Like we were playing with a lot with the DP of that episode. But no, we didn't know it was going to be in black and white. Ultimately, that was a decision they made in post.
wow, that's crazy to me.
But you know what? I think it was the right decision because it really takes it out of the timeline and makes you think about it as its own.
Oh yeah, I think it's a wonderful plot piece in there as almost a completely different story that you're watching a different show for one episode, but it's still intertwined. But that is what blows my mind because you have like when he's in this void and you guys built these panels and the reflection from the flooring and everything, like I would feel like that should be discussed if it was going to be black and white. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm mad for you.
No, I mean it's ultimately they did what was going to be best for the show. But yeah, ideally, Cindy and I have done stuff in black and white before, and it's you have to think about so much more if you're pre-planning for it, because colors read so differently, and you would make different choices. This scene with the doors and the void space, though, that was always going to be strongly a black and white space anyway. So that really sold, and it was always going to be a black void with these really bright panels. But yeah, it's interesting because there were some sets that I would love to see what the color versions ended up looking like. Like the Midtown Tonight set, that sort of a talk show, and the dumpster in the alleyway, like those were all really coated with different colors and textures than what ended up being there. So, but you know what? I think it's
Oh, I think it's turned out great. I just feel
It worked out.
yeah. What where
Thank God it worked out.
where is this bar? Is this bar on Wilcox? Where is this bar?
It is.
in Wilcox.
It's on
It is
Wilcox.
on Wilcox.
Yeah, I grew up there once. I just
Okay. You
See,
just
this is like how legit the show is.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's got a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know my bars.
This was at the Sound nightclub, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was called, the Sound nightclub. It's not a very big club
No.
at all. It's like one story. They had these like amazing, Moroccan lights that would go up and down and it, would change different colors. It was awesome to see it shot. But yeah, it was like we found out actually the wood paneling in there was salvaged from one of Frank Lloyd Wright's houses
Oh my gosh.
and was reused for like maybe a railroad cab or something like that.
Oh wow.
So it was just like interesting because anytime we scouted a location, we would always find little historical Hollywood details, which added to the story about the location. So it had a lot of history to it.
There's a lot of locations in just this one episode because you're following this timeline of a character pretty closely. And I mean,
Mhm.
from alleys to, you said like the night, then the talk show, late night talk show, bars, this void. You have a set within a set because he's on a movie set. I mean, it was a huge episode. I really hope you got that script early. I don't know.
I don't even remember.
I think we did.
We did.
Yeah.
I remember early on being like,
This is
the
all.
bar for this episode is gonna be high. We
Yeah.
have a lot of sets
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
That's probably why they didn't tell you it was gonna be black and white, because then you'd have to test color and want some camera tests and lighting tests and everything.
Yeah.
Uh,
This was a fun one to choose locations for too, because the director of this episode was James Ponsall too. Nowadays I think is show running shrinking and doing a lot with shrinking, but he as a guy is just such an enthusiast. He just like bubbles when you talk about locations in Los Angeles. So one of the bars that we shot in was the Tam O'Shanter, and that was such a special thing
I
because we
know.
all
I
Tam
just shot there. I saw
Oh
it.
yeah. Nice.
It's so
Nice.
great.
It's beautiful.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a character. It's a character. I mean, I just shot there and it was Christmas and we had to take Christmas down and it was like January 5th or 6th or something. They were like, "No, we want it back up." And I was like, why? Why do you want it back up? Like, it was like, we're doing you a favor. It's like half my day is spent putting Christmas back up. So ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I loved seeing that. I love seeing like when he's, when you any scenes really of showing Hollywood. I mean, when he's going for his auditions, things like that, or when they're walking down the street,
Mhm.
when they're driving and everything. It's really such a love letter to LA, and it's so nice to see that and that it's absolutely all shot in LA, which is nice. Because I just rewatched, as a side note, but I just rewatched Gattaca. And when you think of Gattaca, you don't really think of LA. They shot the whole thing in LA, and it made me so happy that they did that. And then I watched this RKO 281 movie about Orson Welles making Citizen Kane, and they shot the whole thing in London, in like Europe. And I was like,
Yeah.
motherfuckers, you
He did
bitches,
so.
why would you do that? Why would you do that? So it's wonderful to just have this like love letter to LA. I really appreciated watching it and everything. I don't have photos, but I wanted to discuss the ending. So if there's any spoiler, you don't want to be spoiled, please fast forward. But in the ending, in that jail cell and everything, and that whole set of sequence of events, where was that? Was that a whole build? Where were you?
That was a build. That was a
Oh,
build at
wow.
Radford. Yeah, and that was an interesting set because the DODC Supermax prison, that was kind of one of our only big Marvel moments, right? It's
Right.
bring to the superhero part of the superhero story. But that prison had also been seen in previous shows. I believe it was in Miss Marvel. The exterior, they show the exterior of the place in an earlier episode, and that exterior was taken from a different Marvel series that it had already been established in. I think it was also in She-Hulk, but you know but no, but we were in a different part of it, and the kind of beauty of that idea is that it's a gigantic prison, so there are all sorts of different parts. So we built that part of the prison on the stage for us, and we were like, we really want to still tie this into the Los Angeles of it all. And I think maybe it's lost a little bit in the cuts, but we the portion that we built was very much inspired by brutalist architecture that's in Los Angeles, the concrete construction, these sorts of like very Tarando like uh, uh, motions of just concrete sort of doing these beautiful shapes.
Yeah.
But that was the whole inspiration for that set. And yeah, that was all a build.
Wow. And all those hallways? That was a lot of hallways.
Hallways actually were not. This was the cell was a build. The hallway leading up to the cell was a build. The large hallways and sort of the entrance piece where they're going through the biometric security, that was a water treatment plant.
Oh, wow. That's fun. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it wasn't. The funny part about that though is it only rains in LA like once a week, or once 1 week out of the year.
Yeah.
Of course, we were shooting
Rain.
a water facility during that week of rain, and
yeah.
everything was flooded in
It
there.
was flooded.
Of
So
course.
many leaks.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then people are like, "Oh, why to bother shooting in LA? It's raining." So Lizzie, did you have a set that stands out to you as like a favorite or wow, I can't believe we pulled that off?
Um, I'm trying to think. It's hard to say. I mean, I have a soft spot for Simon's apartment, and like it was fun because at the end of the show, when he like books the role and he's got the Wonder Man movie, uh, we got to like redecorate his apartment. And so that was kind of a fun moment to be like, okay, now that he has some money, what would he have kept? What's he getting new? What is his like style if he's like actually spending money on things? So that was fun. And then like actually like following the characters of Simon and Trevor with their apartments and their trailers was fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The upgrade in trailers really does sell it.
And like Trevor's trailer was really fun because we were like pulling elements from his apartment to be like, yeah, he's moved in. He's here for months. He's got his lamps.
Yeah.
Like, he's getting cozy. And then Simon, it's like his American Horror Story trailer, I think is literally the smallest set I've ever seen in my life. Like,
Yeah.
we built this tiny little set. And then you get to see him when he books Wonder Man, and he's got this like nice big fancy trailer. So like that kind of character stuff was really fun.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. And any character development I always like too. It's always a good one. Cindy, can you not believe you pulled off what?
The spaceship, actually,
Oh, yeah.
I felt like that one had different levels to it because it was figuring out the exterior of the spaceship, the little model that we built, and we did like that little trick with it, forced perspective trick with it, figuring the look of that, and then going into the interior of it, even though we knew we were going to just see that as like a set in the background.
Right.
But figuring out like how to destroy that set into the design, that was like a whole process, which, in the end was really fun to figure out. And kind of like, I don't know, like meta, because when you see that set that you put so much love into get destroyed,
Oh my
you're
God, yeah.
like, oh my God,
No, I hear you.
see it over and over again. It was like, oh, this is like really hitting
Yeah, it
the
hits.
emotions
Yeah,
here.
it's mental of like I created and they just don't get this. They're just getting rid of it. It's just
Yeah,
blow it up.
but overall it was fun. That set was completely carved out of foam. We had a wonderful father and daughter team who spearheaded building it. They also did the little like spaceship model, the 80s spaceship
Oh.
model. So it was great to work with them. And then Lizzie's team helped source all the crystal buttons that were on the console. Everyone thought, you know, what is this like spiritual thing that you're building? Because we have all these like crystals and yoni eggs and like, you know, got really creative with that. And then figuring out the destruction of it all, Lizzie, I remember we were like, you know, because there's all this shrapnel
Right.
from the set that we would see in a wide, and figuring out together with Michele, like the look of the crater that he creates. And that was just like one of the challenging parts of design because you want it to look authentic and real and like also illustrate the extent of his powers. So trying to figure out like how the pieces lay, like where they would naturally fall was a team effort. And so that was my we did it moment.
Did you storyboard that with the director? Is that part of the process at all, or was it just
We didn't storyboard it with the director, but they did have storyboards of how the destruction would play, how the edit, which was really helpful to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Michele, what did you pull out of your hat on this show? What do you think? Like, woo!
I have two answers to that, and I'm sorry if this goes a little long. But
No, no.
my first answer is the thing every time I watch this show, and I've watched it a few times over at screenings and things. Um, the thing that tickles me are these two transition moments. The first one is when Simon first goes into his apartment from the exterior, because we know that that's a transition from exterior to the apartment build, and it just I'm sorry to say it, but we nailed it. So it's
Yeah.
like that feeling. I always get that thrill of like whenever you're able to wed something
Seamless.
exterior or like
Yeah.
exist in the real world and then transition to a stage set and the audience doesn't know. I love that because that's the magic of what we're doing as the art department. um, the second sort of transition moment like that is actually at the audition when he's in the audition space waiting in line with all those guys, and that's a real location. um, and then you go into the bathroom where he kind of is that was entirely, that was like a different shoot day, a different location. That was a really pristine bathroom at the LA Convention Center that our scenic team had to completely cover in clear contact vinyl and then graffiti on top of, and we built a connecting hallway to match what we saw at the previous location. So these two little invisible moments I love so much because we
Seamless.
know,
Would have
yeah.
never known.
Well, that's the yeah, and that's the part that I'm like, oh, we pulled it off. But the second part of this that I love so much is that I think Wonder Man is a special show, especially in the Marvel pantheon of shows, because it is so personal.
Yeah.
It's personal to the people making it. It's a story that people really connect with on an emotional level, because it's not about the flashy stuff, right? It's about living your life. And, this guy happens to be a superhero, but we're all kind of superheroes. We all live two lives or multiple lives, depending on the situation. I love his mom's house.
Mm.
I think that as something, and the feedback we've gotten from the episodes is, so many people feel represented by what we showed of that house.
Oh, that's great.
The Haitian people, especially immigrants of all kinds, love that house. And Cindy and I, of course, we grew up in immigrant households. We're first generation, and that was such a fulfilling set.
Mm.
All because of that reason of it really created a heart for the show. It created a heart for the character of Simon, who really throughout a lot of the season is just such a jerk
He
to
is.
so many
I
people.
know.
He's not a sympathetic character in a lot of ways, even if you do empathize with his anxiety and his struggle. Like, he's mean to people and he doesn't know that what he's doing. And then you go home with him and you realize it just adds the deeper level of things, and you realize he comes from a specific culture and he comes from a background of commute in a community that just adds a whole layer to who this guy is. And you know how much work he has to do on himself,
Yeah.
sort of, to be honestly, to deserve the love that everybody wants to give him.
Yeah.
So that's that set, though. That set, I think, is the heart of a lot of that character, and I really loved it.
Yeah, it's a great set, and at least you go back to it like at least twice, and you see
Mhm.
different parts of it, the kitchen and the party
Yeah.
scene and everything. It's very humanizing, and like I said, I like this because it wasn't so superhero-y. Like these are real, like, identifiable characters, and you don't love everyone, and you really love others, and then to break away to do a whole nother episode on a character you don't even know was, I thought, really smart too, just to break up, like, oh, you're still in a superhero world, like this is still happening around everyone. So it was just very interesting season, and a lot in 8 episodes. A lot happens, kind of, just in 8 episodes. I'm assuming you don't know, but when am I watching season 2? I don't know. Every season, it takes like 2 years to watch the next season of your favorite show at this point, so who knows, but if you haven't watched Wonder Man, I highly recommend. I have recommended it to many people because it's a quick watch. It's good. It's really good. So congratulations, and it looks great. Loved it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for giving me the time and sending the photos and everything. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Cindy, Michelle, and Lizzie, for joining me on the podcast and walking me through the design and decoration of Wonder Man. This episode was presented by Disney Marvel for your Emmy consideration of Wonder Man for Outstanding Production Design for a Narrative Program Half Hour. So if you are an Emmy voter, please take a time to look at the work of Wonder Man, the production design, the set decorations, the LA locations, the character work that was put into this show. It's very personal and layered and completely rooted in Hollywood. Please take a look at this episode on YouTube so you can see the sets that we are speaking about. Follow Decorating Pages wherever you listen to podcasts, and please subscribe to Decorating Pages YouTube channel to see full videos of all interviews with production designers, set decorators, art directors, and the people who are creating these worlds behind the scenes. I hope you got an earful. I'm Kim Wannop for Decorating Pages.